Anna Sewell slipped walking home from school when she was 14 years old and injured her ankles. The injury was never treated correctly, so she couldn't really walk or stand for the rest of her life. That childhood fall didn't just steal her mobility, it gave her a front row seat to one of the Victorian era's cruelest fashion statements. Because she couldn't walk, Sewell spent years in horse-drawn carriages. She developed relationships with the horses that carried her everywhere, and she watched what happened to them. Victorian society used something called a bearing rein, a strap that ran from the back of the harness over the horse's head to hold it unnaturally high. It made the horses prance prettier, but it permanently damaged their spines and necks. Looking pretty mattered more to carriage drivers than the horse's health, and Sewell saw it happen over and over. She wrote Black Beauty between 1871 and 1877, mostly dictating it to her mother because she was too weak to write it herself. The book was a direct attack on how animals were being treated, especially targeting that bearing rein device. It was published in 1877 and became an overnight success and sold 1 million copies in the first 2 years. Sewell lived long enough to see her only novel become a bestseller, but she died just 5 months after publication in 1878. She never got to see bearing reins made illegal in most places because of her book, but she did know her work mattered. Here's something that shows you how serious the family was about this. When Sewell died, the horses pulling her funeral hearse were wearing bearing reins. Her mother walked down the line of carriages and made the driver remove them before the funeral could continue. That's commitment to your message. The 1940s turned Black Beauty and other horse stories into film phenomenon. My Friend Flicka came out in 1943 with Roddy McDowall. National Velvet hit theaters in 1944 with Elizabeth Taylor, who was only 12 at the time. And Black Beauty arrived in 1946 with Mona Freeman. Horse movies came out every year during that decade because everybody in the 40s could still relate to seeing horse carriages on the street. By the mid-50s, though, people didn't have the same relationship with horses anymore. Everyone wanted sports cars and motorcycles instead. The shift shows up in movies themselves. Before the 1950s, horses were the main characters in films. But from the 50s forward, they became background characters in westerns and ranch shows like Bonanza. They're still in the stories, but they're not leading them anymore. The Black Stallion came out in 1979, Secretariat showed up much later, but those are the exceptions. The golden age of horse movies peaked in 3 years, 43 to 46, and then faded fast. A woman who couldn't walk wrote one book from her deathbed and changed how millions of people treated animals. She saw bearing reins removed from her own funeral horses, and she launched a film genre that dominated a decade before cars replaced hooves in the American imagination. That's what happens when you turn your limitations into your loudest voice.